Cat Station, we'll go back to a brand new video. So here is the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse spoiler review. Again, spoilers are in this video. I'm talking everything you basically want to know. If I forget some stuff, forgive me as always, but here we go. So number one, in Gwen's backstory, we find out two things. That her Peter Parker, who she was in love with, or best friends with at least, basically becomes the Lizard. He takes the potion, and her reality, again, her reality, takes the potion, becomes a lizard. She tries to fight him off. He accidentally gets hurt and dies. And as he is passing away, her father, who doesn't know she's Spider-Gwen yet, comes up behind, and as she, webs off, he sees that one specific moment and now believes that she's the one that Spider-Gwen is the one that killed Peter Parker. And so basically the first 20 minutes are just of him trying to constantly talk about trying to capture Spider-Gwen. And at one point, again, in the very beginning of the film, he does. Essentially, basically, a crime happening at a museum, right? And so she shows up. She basically webs all the cops to get them, off of there so she can go in and take care of business. And basically, she runs into Vulture, but not from her reality, another one. And basically, she basically meets in this scene as well Miguel and Spider Woman. They talk, reference, the elite Spider-Man team and all that crap. And in the very end of the fight, once they take care of Vulture, she goes off somewhere to rest for a couple minutes. And in that time, her father comes up and tries to basically arrest her / shoot her. Doesn't shoot her, obviously, pulls a gun on her, and basically she reveals herself to be Spider-Gwen. He still tries to arrest her, and that's when Miguel comes in and basically puts this, I don't know how you describe it, this thing on her dad where it basically freezes him up. And she basically goes with Spider-Gwen goes with Miguel and Spider-Woman to their headquarters. Okay, and so that's her backstory. That's basically what we learn from there. Okay, and Miles, in the very beginning, it is revealed that Miles created Spot. Also, we'll get to near the end that the spider that bit Miles was not supposed to bite Miles. We'll get into that in a second. So basically, as Spot and Miles are going back and forth, and begin, he's being comedic. He's not really being villainous, if that makes sense. And even Miles jokes about it all up. And the movie makes a joke out of Spot, like I mentioned. He basically reveals to Miles, "You created me. I'm your nemesis," and shows basically when the thing at the end of the Spider-Man to Spider-Verse went off, it made him into Spot. Basically, the type of potion or whatever got out and basically transformed his body into fully white but with some black dots on him. Okay, he blames Miles for that, of course, and he wants to basically ruin Miles' life. He's like, "I'm going to ruin your life. I want to hurt the people you love," basically being the villain that he is supposed to be, of course. And like I said, at first, the first 20, 30 minutes, you just see them going around through different spots, trying to chase at one another because Miles is trying to get to the parent teacher conference, but he's trying to also fight out the Spot, of course. Finally traps him in a bunch of webs, gets to the parent teacher conference, and then Spot basically gets loose. But the thing is Spot basically falls into his own black spot, if you will. It's able to explore different realities. He peeks into the Lego Spider-Man world and into the Venom world. We don't see Venom. We see the cashier lady behind the desk. And they have a little bit of back and forth, a couple of minutes, and then he gets out of their course, right? Miles hesitates a lot throughout the film to reveal that he is Spider-Man to his parents. His parents are constantly struggling with trying to get a hold of him. His dad has a promotion party where he's becoming captain, and Miles shows up very late, and they're upset with him. They're trying to figure out how to punish him. They basically ground him, which is hilarious. And in that kind of scene, Gwen shows up through a portal, and her and Miles go for a little bit of stroll around the neighborhood, and they have a good talk here and there. And then basically, they show up back at the party later on, having some drinks and stuff. And of course, his parents introduce themselves to Gwen, and funny scene later on, which we'll talk about later. And basically, as Gwen goes off, Miles's dad leaves, and it's Miles's mom and him, and she basically tells him, "You always belong wherever you're at." Like a really good mother and son moment, and basically tells him, "Go after her. Go. Don't worry, you're good." And again, I'm paraphrasing too a lot. And anyways, so he goes after her. He finds out that she is investigating a scene at where the spot was at. So essentially, the spot goes into this apartment, I guess, and is messing with like a electric machine type thing. And there's a thing in the middle, energy matter, whatever you call it. And he basically decides to touch it once it turns like purple or something, which then affects him, and he basically zaps away. And as he's zapping away, causes explosion and all that. And Spider Woman checks in on Gwen and basically hovers over her a lot, saying that she needs to clean this up quickly before she involves Miguel, of course. And Miles hears the whole thing, but he's invisible, so neither of them can see him. And then as Gwen's about to leave to go meet up with Spider-Man Indy, I don't know how you want to say it, Miles follows behind her through the portal, and basically we get to meet Spider-Man Indy in his world, which is a pretty cool segment, by the way. It's funny. I had a bunch of Indian folks next to me. They're laughing at some of the dialogue. I couldn't understand it, or the references, but they could, Indian culture wise. They're trying to save the day. They also run into. We also get to meet two of the Spider-Man, Spider-Man Punk, and another Spider-Man, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's just the four of them. So it's Gwen, Miles, Spider-Punk, and Spider-Indy, and they basically get all the way to. They have to save some folks first, and that's a very important thing to talk about later. They basically have to save some folks first. They get to this alchemy place. I don't remember what's called, Alchemix or something, where my Spot is trying to go into the machine, Spider-Man to Spider-Verse 1, to evolve himself, to make himself stronger and better. And so Miles has basically figured out that he can use his electric abilities to absorb the electricity off of something, electric wall, whatever, barrier, right? And then as he's trying to do that, Spider-Gwen and Spider-Indy are talking to him. Can you hurry this up? Come on, come on. Spider-Punk comes through, knocks through it all, and they basically have a back and forth fight. But unfortunately, they lose. They unfortunately lose, and Spot, goes to the thing, which like I said, caused an explosion, and they have to save the people at the aftermath. And then that's when, of course, Miguel and Spider-Woman show up. They show up. They take all of them to the Spider-Man HQ, which is where we get a lot of cameos. So they're basically walking through. I'm not going to name every single cameo, though. I'm just going to name the main ones. But you see Donald Glover's Prowler. And in a segment where they talk about death and canyons, we see Andrew Garfield and Uncle Ben's death, him reacting to the death, and then Tobey Maguire and Uncle Ben's death. Not Tom Holland, just Tobey and Andrew. Okay? Which was very cool. We all screamed, had a great time with that, okay? And so basically, it's revealed that basically every single Spider-Man's, there's always been a captain in their universe that's always died. Always. Whether it was Captain Stacy or basically they're saying the reason why Miles and Miguel get into a fight is because Miguel tells Miles, your dad's about to become captain and he's about to die. Okay, he tries to save a child, but in the moment he gets hit by a barrier and dies. He basically tells Miles, there's nothing you can do about it, stay here and all that. And Miles says, "Heck nah, I'm going back to my reality and saving my dad." And that's when they all go chase after him. Okay, they chase after him, back and forth, back and forth. Also, real quickly, the Donald Glover moment. We also see the Spider-Man PS4 as well. FYI, chase after him back and forth, and in the climax, when near the end of the film, Miguel finally reveals to Miles Morales, the Spider-Man, that when Spot had the spider that bit Miles, it was from Earth 42. Miles Morales, the one we know, is not from Earth 42. It's from the wrong dimension. And so basically he reveals that you're a mistake, puts him down, basically tells him that Earth 42 was supposed to have a Spider-Man, and now it does because you're it. Okay? And so it's kind of like, dang, he's being really harsh, right? Well, they basically, Miles escapes out of Miguel's grip and basically is able to go back to the headquarters. He gets into this thing where basically there's a machine that any villain or Spider-Man can get into, and it will basically, whatever spider bit you, it will basically take you back to that reality, right? And so Miles gets into the machine, it wraps him all up, is ready to transform him. It takes him to where the spider came from, which is Earth 42. Okay? And it's basically revealed that because this spider did not bite that Miles Morales, he becomes a Prowler. It's a cool scene. It basically gets built up. Miles basically tries to tell his mom he's Spider-Man. She has no clue what he's talking about. Uncle Aaron shows up, tells him he's going to go. They have some plans to take care of. Gets knocked out. Miles is like basically chained to a punching bag, and Aaron throws a really hard punch next to him, and basically Miles just explaining everything to Uncle Aaron, trying to tell him about the Prowler, about him, and all that. When basically the actual Prowler comes down, meets him face to face, takes his mask off, and reveals himself as the Miles Morales that was supposed to be bitten by a spider, but wasn't. And so, in the process that's happening, Gwen decides to form a team. The other Spiders we've already met: Peter, Spider Punk, Indy, and other people from the first Spider in the Spider Verse, Noir, and all that. She basically is going to help stop Miles' dad from being killed and help stop Miguel, I'm assuming, right? And so Miguel, Spider Woman, and Ben Riley Spider Man all go to the reality where Miles came from. He's not there, of course. Okay. So speaking of that, when Gwen is able to go back to Miles Morales' world, she basically, his parents are talking about how they don't know what to do. They're kind of confused and they need closure. She comes out and basically tells them that they've done a good job. They've done a great job as parents, and that he loves them truly. And basically, his mom says, "Tell him it's 5 months grounding, not 3," which is hilarious. And I feared that she would reveal herself as Spider Gwen to them, but it's fine that she didn't. It makes sense. Fun thing I mentioned earlier, which I'm going to talk about now, is that Miles' dad assumes that Gwen's father is a drug lord or whatever, a drug dealer, and she immediately tells him, "Captain, please, Captain." He says, "Statement withdrawn," which I thought was funny, hilarious. Um, so yeah, so basically the end cliffhanger is Miles Morales Prowler has his fist like literally like right this to our Miles Morales' face, and our Miles Morales has his finger on the chain that's wrapped around his body, right, electrocuting to get himself out of that situation. And the other part with Gwen is her and her new team, and that's the ending of the film essentially. Okay. Basically, Miguel, as he's trying to tell Miles about cannons, basically Miles asks, what happens if you try and mess with it. Basically, Miguel tells Miles about a time where, one of the realities he's from, for some reason, one of his versions dies. He tries to place that version with another Miguel, and then that world glitches up completely, and that Miguel loses his daughter, and that hurts him apparently. So there's that, of course. And at the end of the film, Gwen goes back to her dad and basically gets closure with him. They talk. Her dad's no longer a captain. He basically clear retired. I don't remember which one it was. And they basically have a good talk. They hug it out, and she goes out to do her thing. And I think Hoagie or Spider-Punk leaves behind the teleportation device. That's how she's able to get all of Spider-Man riled up together to team up with her. Spectacular Spider-Man appears. You know, a couple of dialogue here, a little bit of dialogue. But as always, hope y'all enjoyed this spoiler review. I like the twist. It made sense. I especially love how once they revealed that the spider that bit Miles wasn't the right spider. He wasn't the right person to be bitten by. It tells him in a harsh way, but then he sees the harsh reality of what happens with that by going to that reality and meeting his other version of self as the Prowler. By the way, real quickly, I forgot to mention this. In the Miles Morales' Prowler reality, Miles' dad is dead. It says rest in power, and it shows his dad on a wall memorial wise. But yeah, I liked how Spot at first was a joke, but then it becomes an actual big threat. I thought that was cool. So I've been able to see Miguel as a villain in this film, but in some ways because of how he is, and I have to go after Miguel, not Miguel, but Miles. And to some degree, I can see where they're coming from, but to me, I never really saw him as a villain. I see both sides. Miguel is trying to protect the multiverse. He's trying to protect the realities. He knows that if Miles goes out and tries to save his dad, it will create more of an issue. By the way, so real quickly, I forgot to mention this. In the scene, there's a bridge scene where Spider-Man Indy's girlfriend, his dad, is basically trying to save a little girl. Miles goes to save that dad and little girl. It wasn't supposed to, because he did that. That created some problems as well. Okay. So yeah. Spot goes from a joke to a villain. The reveal is awesome. It's cool. It makes sense. And like I said, I love seeing Andrew Toby show up in this film. Again, it wasn't a new scene. By the way, I'm gonna make sure that's very clear. It was a new scene. It was literally scenes from their own movies from whenever they lost their Uncle Ben's. Okay? Tom Holland's Spider-Man does not show up in this film. I repeat, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is not in this film. Not. Also, the third movie is called Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. So, as always, thank you for watching. Peace out, guys. Stay friendly. If I can think of any more spoilers to add to this video, I will later on. But thank you for watching. Did y'all enjoy the film? Let me know in the comment section below.